welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. And today we have another live tasting, and today we're talking about Highland Park. So what are we having? We're having 4 of the Highland Parks, which is kind of their core range. There are more to their core range, but we have selected the kind of the most attractive, the most numerous ones. We're starting off with the 12-year-old, and then we go with the Dragon Legend, then the 15-year-old, and we're ending with the 18-year-old Viking Pride. We had a bit of a discussion of if that is the right direction. Usually you'd go for no age statement and 12, 15, 18, but the Dragon Legend says on the package, and I think it is a bit more spicy, and you put it in second place.
No. I decided due to the more mentioning of smoke.
Oh, my mentioning of smoke, okay.
Yeah, so that's the sequence.
But it also says
the
smoky and rich. Yeah, rich.
And the ABV. So we're starting with 40, then we go up to 43.1 with the Dragon Legend. I wonder why they have this 0.1%. And next one is the Dragon Heart, or Viking Heart it's called. Viking Heart. It's 44%, and the 18-year-old is 43 again. So we start with the least ABV in the sequence. And if you look quite carefully, not carefully, if you just look at the table, at the cask, then you see there are 3 glass bottles and 1 ceramic bottle style. That's a really heavy one. Yeah, that's better. And so this shows this a little bit special, and the prices range from the mid-30s up to the 140s, 50s. With the 18-year-old, the rest is in between. So this is quite a range for Highland Park. There's more to Highland Park. There's the 10-year-old, still again on the market. There had been a 10-year-old which was omitted then, and now there are these 10 years old Viking Scars, vibrant and smooth.
I don't think we have the 10-year-old tasted that yet. Maybe that's for the future then. But let me start off a little bit about the background, about story and production. We're starting off with where is actually Highland Park from. And as here you see the map of Scotland. At the bottom you see Edinburgh and Glasgow. Then you have Lowlands and
just
Highlands.
A second, please. Herbie on Wheels, Shubia, asks, is this pre-recorded?
No.
No, it isn't. And now you have the proof.
Yeah, okay. So bottom is Lowlands with Edinburgh and Glasgow, where most of the Scots live. And then we go to the big wide thing that is nothing. There is the Highlands with a lot of distilleries there. Then we have Inverness. Then we have the Northern Highlands. And then after the Northern Highlands, there is an island called... islands called the Orkney Islands, and here we see the little still symbol. That is where the Highland Park distillery is located, and that's on the outskirts, on the southern outskirts of the small town called Kirkwall. That is the capital of the Orkney Islands.
Yeah, and Kirkwall, the community of Kirkwall is divided into, I think, 3 parts, and one is Lowland Park, and the other I don't know how it's called, and the other is Highland Park. It's the upper part, and in this upper part to the south, there the distillery is located.
Yeah, and the thing is, the Orkney Islands are not of Gaelic descent, because they have been invaded by the Vikings from Denmark, Norway, Sweden, I don't know, you name it. Probably Denmark.
And for that, the Picts, the old Stone Age.
Yeah, there's still. I've been in the museum or outside museum where still the old buildings were seen, how the old buildings were, and they were really, really old, and they're like stone circles there. But our story here with the Highland Park begins with Magnus Juson, and he distilled illegally on the location where the distillery was. And I think he was the mayor or something, and he got caught. Or there's a story about
in
that.
1798.
Yeah,
So
and
this
so if
is-
you want the real story, you just have to visit the distillery, and they tell you all about it. And yeah, 30 years later, in 1826, Robert Borwick has really started the distillery, got an official license, and this is how the distillery looks like still. So there's old, very old stone buildings, and very, very classical. But the distillery is not that small. It grew and shrink in size, and they really nearly went bankrupt when that whole thing with the blends went down, and then they started the Highland Park single malt, and that saved the distillery. But still, they have a production capability of 2.5 million liters of pure alcohol per year. Most of it goes nowadays into the single malt whiskey, but still there is a part that goes into the blend industry. So you know about these blends a bit
So
better than I
the
do.
Highland Park distillery is part of the Edrington Group. In that Edrington Group, the Macallan distillery also belongs to. And the top of that, the financing group is the Robertson Trust, and they are giving grants to pupils, to school children who do not have that money to go to very good schools. And they are not allowed to take that many loans for refurbishing and expanding distilleries, so they always have to sell parts of the distillery group they had. So they sold, I think, the Glenturret distillery, and the Glenturret is part of the famous grouse experience, and Highland Park delivers whiskey to the blend of famous grouse as well as Macallan. But I think the amount of whiskey going into those brands from famous grouse is reducing a lot, because the demand for Highland Park is that big, so that they do no longer have the supplies to deliver to the blend industry. So I think that's the past. Probably there's a little bit left, but well, that's the story.
Yeah. So my last point for this segment is the water that is used by Highland Park comes from the Catty Maggie's sources, which are kind of uphill near.
Yeah, there's everything full of water. I
Yeah,
don't know
there's so much water.
if you
on
can
that
distinguish one of from another.
Yeah, yeah. There's someone who's wondering where you're from, and they're suspecting that you're from Poland. Nope, we're from Germany. Okay, so enough talk. Let's start off with the first whiskey, I would say.
Yeah, so I was just reading. So now I have to be very
It's
careful
12.
that I have it in the right sequence, so that we do not have the wrong whiskey in our glass. Yeah, a little more. There's more in that small.
Ooh, I got an old glass. This is one of the first ones to be produced.
This was handmade. The others
Handmade,
is
yeah.
in.
But this feels a lot different. A lot thicker.
Finest German mechanical industry.
Yeah. Does Highland Park produce their own peat? I'll come to that later.
Yeah.
So
So this Highland Park, 12 years of age, isn't that expensive. It's priced in the mid-30s euros, dollars, pounds, and stands on that price for decades. So if you take the inflation into account, it's really got cheaper. Yeah.
So it's made from first fill and refill sherry casks, and
Has 40% ABV.
there's no coloring to it. There has been a bit of a upheave couple of years ago, because someone on the internet said it had coloring in it. It's not true. Or at least the distillery says it's not true. They're not coloring any of their whiskies, they say, at the Highland Park distillery.
Yeah, so this has a little bit of smokiness in it, definitely, but it's very, very faint. So this is 5, 7, 8, 10 ppm, not more. And then there is sweetness, there is heather, there's a little spiciness, there's sherry in it. I have to put this. So this is complex. This is wonderful, massive. This is what I'm remembering from Highland Park. Maltiness in it. Yeah.
Yeah, the 12-year-old is like their whiskey. It's like the main whiskey for Highland Park. And the price is right, and it's really a very nice whiskey. I love it because it's lightly sweet, lightly smoky. The smoke doesn't hide, so it's there but not overwhelming, together with a nice heathery note that is just very inviting to drink.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
A big mouthful of maltiness, sherry tones, and uprising spiciness. Very, very much behind is a little bit of oakiness, but faint, not too much. No bitterness at all. Yeah, heather. Yeah, very good.
I find it very nicely balanced, very drinkable. It's a smoky whiskey that I would recommend you can also enjoy on the side. Usually smoky whiskeys are just very demanding and you just have to concentrate on them, but this is nicely smoky, sweetness balanced with a bit of oakiness, a bit of fruitiness to it, and I would say heathery and floral herbs note in it as well. So a very well balanced, rounded whiskey. Yeah. Here we have smoky, light sweet, heather smoke. Yeah, nuances of oak. Oh, a lot of people have it, and very gentle smell with a lot of honey from Purple Elephant. This time there are more people in the chat who actually have the whiskey. Purple Elephant, F1 scenes, and Go Habs seems to, and SV5 have it in their glass. So cool. Thanks for your tasting with us. I really love that.
Sake 69. Maybe I should get Highland Park 12 as my first of their whiskies. Yeah, wait to the end.
Depends on what you have in your pocket.
Yeah.
Cheers. Should I continue with the production?
Just a question. Erik Hannes Dahle Larsen from Norway. He said, how long has the 15 been available worldwide? Sadly, it's not available in Norway yet. Yeah, that's the problem. You have the Systembolaget, which is state-owned monopoly. And
is it still so dominant?
Yeah.
Oh,
not dominant, it's the monopoly.
Oh, good.
So there are problems. In Sweden, it's a little bit lighter, but the Systembolaget, or is the Systembolaget is the Swedish name.
Right?
In Norway, it's the other. Yeah. But they decide what they have.
Yeah, but I think it's already on the market. Was it this summer or last summer? Like last summer or the summer before, 2022 or 2021, when it was introduced, I think. But don't nail me down to that one. But I tried it like half a year, or three-quarters of a year ago.
Escargo 80 asks a second time, will you guys be attending to Whisky Show 2023 in September at London? Well, no. I've seen so many whiskey shows in my life. I think I have visited enough for 3 lives.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, then let's start a bit with the production. So where does the whiskey come from? It all starts with the Highland Park distillery in their malting floors. That's where they get the grain from, the big grain companies or farmers, and then they steep it in water so it starts to germinate, and then they spread it out on the floor and turn it very regularly so the grain can start to grow, and during that growth it produces more sugar that the plant actually wants to then transform into celluloses, but that's where they want to end, because we want to have a lot of sweet sugar and we don't want celluloses, and starch is not that good as well. So they actually then cut their own peat from their 7-mile far moor, or peat bog. It's called Hobbister Moor, and this peat is a bit more sweet and heathery as other peat, like from other islands, which it burns a bit more hotter, a bit cleaner, and that's why it doesn't produce also that big smokiness. And here we see where the malt would land then when it's still wet. It's the drying floor. Actually, if you'd go to the floor very, very close, you'd see small holes in it that the grains can't fall through, but the hot air from below can rise, and that hot air can also be very, very smoky, and we'll see that here. Here you see peat 12 hours and then coke, so you see written on the wall, and that is because first they do peat and then they add coke, which is coal, that doesn't produce as much smoke. And can we run the video actually? Yeah, that is a nice burning fire with a lot of smoke, and that is what a peat fire looks like. If you want even more smoke, you can add a little bit of water, and that makes it really, really smoky. They do actually have 2 kilns on that ground. It's the old kiln and the new kiln. The old kiln is 200 years old around, and the new kiln, I think it was 125, so it's really the old kiln and the very, very old kiln. Yeah, 20% of the malted barley they use on the island or on the distillery is actually done from their old malting floors. The rest is actually brought from the big malters. Here you see the top, the iconic pagoda roof where the smoke comes out. And
this is a little bit too much of smoke, because this is just the first firing phase. So typically, say half or a third of that comes out of the chimney. But there had been a lot of discussion and fight going on with the European community, because they said this is fine dust, impossible to do that. And then the EU, EC, had also the fantasy that whiskey has to be transported in steel tanks, because
not in casks.
You're not allowed to have burning fuels in wooden containers. So
it worked for 200 years, but hey, why continue?
Yeah, because we're from the government. We are here to help.
We're here to help. That's nice. So we're from the government. We're here to help.
This is Ronald Reagan.
Oh, really?
This
okay.
Taylor
I know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
The most foolish sentence he said to that.
Did he mean it seriously? Or?
No. He said, this is the most foolish sentence.
Okay. We're here to help. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the next one is the Highland Park Dragon Legend. It's our non-age statement here on the cask. And it's about the dragon and about what was it, a warrior or something, North folklore story of Sigurd the dragon slayer, and he inspired the whiskey name and its bold dramatic character. Yeah, he slew a dragon and then he got magical powers from that. I think in Germany we have that.
Still alive? No.
I don't know if he ever was alive. Okay. It's just a story. But we had a similar story in Germany about, what was it, Siegfried? Siegfried, he was slaying a lindworm, and he was getting, what was it, impenetrable. Yeah, it's Siegfried. No, is it Sigurd? Siegfried, because here it says Sigurd. Sigurd.
Yeah, this is the Viking, and the Siegfried is the old Germanic
one, yeah, it's a Germanic one.
Yeah.
But
So,
he was like impenetrable because he bathed in the blood or something like that.
Christopher Molloy. I recently saw Highland Park 12 going for 100 in New York City. Well, that's Manhattan probably. No. Then the next one, that's taxes and duty for you. In the UK, most whiskies are cheaper. No, completely wrong. Atticus now. The UK has an extremely high tax of about 30 pounds.
Yeah, but he's referring to the guy who has
alcohol.
100.
No. And in the US, the alcohol tax is very low. Sales tax is very low. This is just the rent for the shop.
Yeah, it's
you have
New
to
York City,
pay.
everything.
This is really ridiculous.
This is New York City. New York City is expensive.
So this is not from the government. They are there to help.
Renato, 10 R dollars? What are R dollars? Ah, Brazilian. I don't know what Brazilian has. R dollars.
Reals.
Reals? Okay. Horst, we love you and your son in Brazil. Say hello, bye. Hello, bye. Oh, so the next one is under the banner of smoky and rich.
Yeah. So this has 43.1 ABV. I wonder why they have this 0.1. And this is 3.1 ABV more than the 12-year-old. And, well, no age statement in it. We will see how old it might be from the taste. And both whiskies, the 12-year-old and the Dragon Legend, both are not colored, as all Highland Parks are never colored. And you see it's a little bit darker. So I don't think that it's older than the Highland Park 12. Then they would have written it on it. But I think probably they have a little bit more of sherry cask influence in it. Yeah. And the 3% ABV more leads to less dilution.
Yeah.
To more
the first
color.
one was first fill and second fill sherry cask. Here it just says sherry casks. So we really don't know what the sherry casks are, but it's definitely a sherry cask whiskey.
Oh, Hatim Abbasi, best channel ever. Greetings from Jordan. Oh, this is deep in the night, few hours later. Christopher Molloy, thoughts on Highland Park, full volume, please. Wow, I had that 4 or 5 years ago. I'm sorry, I had a few hundreds after that. I'm sorry, I can't remember.
So what do you think of this one? What do you think of this one?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there is smoke in it, not more than in the 12-year-old. So the sequence from the smell might have had both sequences. So 12 before or in front of and the other behind, maybe. It's darker. It seems not to be that fresh, that agile, aromatic, intense. Sherry, definitely, maltiness. It's very close to the 12-year-old, but more settled, different. Yeah.
I find it strangely, I don't find it that much more smoky, maybe a little bit more smoky, but it has that aromatic note to it. But I think, yeah, maybe a bit more spicy, yeah. I'm interested in how it feels on the tongue.
Yeah. So thank you, Hatim Abbasi, for 2,000 Jordan dinars.
I don't know, yachts.
Drachmans. No idea. Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Juicy, oily, sweet, intense, rising spiciness, oakiness. This delivers a lot more on the tongue than on the nose. Really. Long aftertaste. More smoke in the aftertaste. Yeah.
Write down in the comments what you have in your glass. Yeah, or what you feel from that.
Yeah, if they have.
If you have it in your glass. The taste is extraordinarily more spicy. So this is really the rich and smoky that I read on the bottle. It has more smoke, it has more intensity with spiciness, feels, yeah, intense and strong. Okay, it has 3% more alcohol, definitely.
Yeah.
So that transports
yeah.
a lot more.
Helps, yeah.
But it doesn't feel as round. It has less sweetness as the 12. So yeah, kind of a big jump from the 12. And now from the taste, definitely right sequence. Take it after the 12.
Yeah. So there was a comment from Christopher Malloy to the taxes. Ironically, California isn't one of them with the high taxes. I think that's because of the wine lobby. Well, here in Germany, we have the full tax on spirits. Then we have a reduced tax on beer. That's the German beer with the Reinheitsgebot. And with the wine, we have zero tax.
Yeah, VAT.
We have VAT, but zero alcohol tax.
Zero alcohol tax because it's holy, it's in the church. And
it's in the church, and there's the lobby is very, very big.
Yeah. But it's, for me, that's day and night to the 12. First, we have such a gentle, nice, fruity, and the next one is so spicy, intense volume. Ooh, yeah, day and night. How you can, just the fact the spirit with a lot from the cask. So what's your guess for how old it is?
So there's no metallic youthness in it. So definitely it has 7-8 years. But I don't think that it's more than 10 because there is a 10 on the market, and the 10 is called Viking Scars, vibrant and smooth.
Yeah.
And there had been an old 10-year-old, which was then, there has a blue stripe on it, which was discarded a decade ago or more. And now the 10-year-old is in another fashion here. So this would carry an age statement if it had more than 10 years. So it had to be less.
I think it has some younger stuff in it that is just more oomph to it, but maybe has a little bit of old stuff to it as well. Just to give
it's
it
a mixture.
The edges.
Internal mixture.
Yeah.
And when this internal mixture comes from a single distillery, then it's still a single malt.
Yeah, sure.
You're allowed to mix in between the casks.
Yeah. So we have our dried, smoky, malted barley, and now we grind it down and then we put it into the mash tun. This here is the mash tun, big stainless steel mash tun, 6 tons of grind down barley called grist is added to the mash tun, and then you add hot water in multiple washings, and after you've washed out all the starches and sugars, and you kind of break down the starches as well with enzymes, then we have 24 mashings per week, and we end up in the wash bags. These are very old wash bags, and they talked a little bit about renovations when I was there. Like I think it was like 2 years December or something like that. Like not last December, but the December before. And yeah, then you add some yeast, and they let it set in 12 wooden fermenters with 29,200 liters capacity for 65 hours, and that ferments it then up to a beer with 8% alcohol. So this gives you a bit of a clue that 65 hours with only 8% coming out in the end. They're not using this high strength distiller's yeast where you just output, but they're using a bit of a better yeast that gives them
more flavor.
More flavor, yeah. So that is then the story of how the alcohol gets into the Highland Park. And yeah, now we are with the 15, yeah?
Yeah, the 15-year-old looks different, and that's a heavy bottle. It's made from ceramics, and comes with no card box around it. And it's a little bit more expensive, therefore. It's close to 100, I think, in most countries. And it has 44% ABV, so again, a percentage point more than the others. And it's called complex and rich. Carries an age statement of 15 years, but be careful. Highland Park matures in big sherry casks, first, second, third fill, I think. And this delivers, or this leads to a less additive maturation, because the relationship between inner surface and volume is not as high as in smaller casks. So the maturation in Highland Park is slower than in other parts, other distilleries.
Oh, we have two comments. Renato is giving us another 99 cents of Real.
Thank you.
And he's going, oh, is it, dripping. And Flurp X-Ray, yes, it's not a beer. It's, I think a beer is the American name. The Scottish call it wash. Yeah, the American also have the beer still. And
the beer
yeah, the Americans call it beer, but they do know that it's not a beer without hops.
If you visit a distillery in Scotland and you're offered a beer from it, everybody takes it. But it's horrible. An hour or two later, it's gone through the wrong way.
The wrong way. Yeah, and never drink of this wash too much, because it's just it accelerates all of your intestines. I never did that. I actually don't have any experience of that. But so I've heard it enough that you should do it. I
tasted it several times, and it was a little bit sour.
Sour.
So fruity sourness in it, and I think this is left behind through the distillation. And from these, you have these citrus notes in the fresh spirit. Everything, yeah. And
the thing is, I tried a lot of them, but only
but
it's a lot of difference if you have one that has just like 40 hours, which is kind of minimum, and I had one with 120 hours, which was just pure pine, pure melon and stuff. Yeah, and yeah, in between there's a lot of sour stuff.
So this has, from my point of view, more smokiness than the others have. And from the overall expression, it's definitely a Highland Park, as the other ones are. And there's the first time I have this citrus note in it, which was covered by the others. And fresh pineapple. This light acidity from the pineapple. And a smell of honey,
So it's nice. It's a lot lighter, a lot fruitier. It has a bit of a sweetness, like the 12-year-old. It reminds me a little bit of the 12-year-old. That was also a little bit more sweet, and a little bit of a herbs note going on. So this is a bit more reminding me of 12-year-old with a heather and more fruitiness, but much more fresh.
So, Christopher Molloy again, thoughts on the elimination of boxes in the Scotch whisky industry. Would it hurt sales? Well, they are not doing that because they will, but they have to, because the broken delivery chains and the extremely risen prices for card box paper and energy leads to a shortage of those card boxes. I've never seen that a tin was replaced. I've only seen card boxes being replaced.
I have seen the wooden boxes being replaced.
We have to put it in our oven. we need the power here in Central Europe.
Yeah, so
Will there be pieces of ceramic mixed with whiskey on the... Why? No.
ceramic is
That's
pretty
burned.
inert.
It's inert, yeah.
Pretty inert. Ceramic is I think often used in chemistry because it's so inert.
Yeah. Yeah. Cheers.
Just
Wow, this hits the tongue. Really, very spicy, intense. There was in one of these notes I've read that the wasabi peas tasted in it, and there's this a faint wasabi note in it. Not that harsh, not that sharp. No. But there's a distinct spiciness in this. Yeah.
First, you got me with, in the German take, you got me with the citrus. Still there is citrus a lot for me. But now you got me with the wasabi. Because it's that fresh note to it that goes hand in hand with the citrus. And now it just a bit of an overtone to it. And I like it. I like it that it's so different. When you have the Highland Park like as one, you just feel light smoke and combined with, but here you see the differences. I love the idea that we're having them one after another. This one is a bit more lightly smoked than the others as well.
So here they write on the label, on the back label, a wild harmony of toasted cinnamon. This might be, cinnamon is typically a sharp spice. What you feel this sugar and cinnamon, then you have this sweet blah 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 industrial thing. But the clean cinnamon bark is very sharp, and toasted cinnamon might be as well. Mellow peat smoke, warm vanilla sponge cake, sun-kissed lemon zest, fresh pineapple, and heather-rich honey. The honey is only in the aftertaste. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. What is it? Heather-kissed honey, or what was it?
Heather-rich
honey. Yeah, definitely. Heather-rich honey. But still, yeah, we ended up with the wash, or some call it beer, and that still needs to be distilled to become one of these 40 or plus spirits. So what we have is 4 stills. The right ones are the wash stills, and you mentioned it before.
Yeah, they replaced the pot and kept the neck.
On the left side, they actually replaced the top part and kept the pot.
Yeah,
that's because the pot and the top are actually corroding at a different speed.
Yeah. And typically, the bottom has a bigger thickness than the neck. So
usually when you have it calculated out, then it should be replaced all as a one, but usually it doesn't work out. So they are pretty straight. They have no reflux bowl, they have no constricting piece, so they are pretty straight, they are pretty wide, and so they should give you a pretty spicy spirit, and that's actually what they have. It's not overly spicy, as they don't run them too fast, but it has a good amount of spiciness, oiliness that comes to it, and that's what we feel in the Highland Park spirit, that it has a lot of character, because it's not as fine, refined, so easy, but it has a bit of a more rough character, an Islander character. The wash stills are of 18,000 liters capacity, and the spirit stills of 12,000 liters capacity. That is not that small, so that gives you a bit of an idea where that 2.5 million liters of pure alcohol are being produced. This alcohol comes off like, it starts with I think 90 and goes down to 70 or something like that, but it comes out around 80. and that is the new make spirit that has to be aged, and for that we need the warehouses. This is, I think, one of your old photos, and it's really good with that.
2005.
Yeah.
We had there with the cruise ship, and I took a couple of people, 30 something, and drove there to visit. So I gave the tour in German.
Yeah, the distillery actually has 23 warehouses. As you can see, they are pretty small warehouses. So most of them are actually old stone buildings with stamped ground, and they are the old dunnage warehouses. Usually at dunnage warehouses, the casks are only stacked too high, but as the distillery uses nearly exclusively sherry casks, they only still stored too high because these casks are
You
so
said
big.
2 in the first place again, so 3 high in normal.
Yeah, 3 high normally, but these casks are so big that they're only stored in 2 high. But they have 19 of these traditional dunnage warehouses, so the rest of them are actually racked warehouses where you can store a bit more casks. Yeah, every Highland Park is at least stored once in a Oloroso sherry, and a lot of the whiskies are exclusively matured in Oloroso sherry.
But not first fill, but a mixture of first, second, and third fill. Otherwise, they must have been darker. There had been a question: do all their whiskies start with the same barley, malting, and distillery process? Yes.
Yes. Yes. So the new make spirit from the master distiller is kept always the same, and he is the guy who is responsible for that it is being produced the same way, and the same outcome. And then you fill it into casks, and the master blender or the blender team is actually responsible for creating the whiskies, and for 12 and 18 for the core range, that always stays the same. Good, the others are pretty long here for the long run as well. They have to create the whiskey the same way, which is a really hard task. I wouldn't be one in their shoes. Creating a flavor is a hard task.
Yeah. So Flurb X-ray. Sorry if this was asked already. Is the peat from Orkney somehow distinguished to peat from the mainland or other isles? You had it in your backup text.
More heather.
More heather and burning a little bit hotter.
Yeah.
So less phenolic, more
Sweet.
yeah. Hello from Canada, gentlemen. Las Vegas.
Yeah. So now we come to the pinnacle of the video. We actually gave it on our Whisky.de. We gave it the award, or we named it Best Whiskies from 25 Years of Whisky.de. And that's
it's
true.
not the best, it's part of the best.
The best. Yeah.
I think they should put a sticker of our company on it.
That we gave it the award of Best Whiskey.
So it's like the golden medals. Yeah.
Oh, that is just
Yeah. It's so full, complex but gentle, friendly, malty, sweet, sherry, a very distinct smokiness. Very complex, very, very friendly and welcoming. No sharp edges. It's 43% ABV, and it's priced, well, in most countries around 150, I think.
it rose quite a lot,
Yeah.
but it's really inviting. You just feel a nice, lightly smoked whiskey, nicely stored, and it doesn't have that many edges. It feels mature, oaky, a little bit of a fruity touch to it. I know that it's well made, but it's just very inviting.
Sunil Mayevadia, hey guys, you're too far away from the microphone. No. You should look at your amplifier. Which one is this one? The 18-year-old. We love cast strength. Sorry, not this time. But I think we had some cast strength already on the channel.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
What a shame that we open the small miniature and the big bottle stays closed, so we can't have some drams in the evening. This is so wonderful, so mouth-filling, so mouth-watering. The first of those, which is mouth-watering honey, sorry, honey sweet, honey aftertaste, complex, long. Ah, wonderful, rich.
It's very rich, it's complex. But what I also find is it has more bittersweet notes to it, a little bit of a cacao note to it, and a lot of oakiness. It carries the age, I would say. So it feels a lot older than the 15-year-old. The 15 is more fresh. Good. The 15 was with American and European oak. Not quite sure what the 18 is, but the 18, I think they take a bit more mature whiskies for mature casks to mix into the 18 because it feels much more oomph to it. More oomph to than 3 years would suggest.
Are we tasting another Highland Park after these? No. This is 4 in a row. I think we had last year before. I think we had the 12 and the 18 separately. But sorry, there are so many other whiskies on the market that we can't dig much deeper into that. Yeah.
Oh, that is really, really nice. Yeah, and let's now come to our conclusion. What was the best one? And let's have a smell. I actually know the first one. That is.
Not give you it's quite difficult if everybody had the chance to get their fingers on those whiskies, because we have in Germany we have a small miniature set where you find these bottles in, and this is not available. This is individually made, which is not available around the world. So it's quite difficult to have all 4 bottles at home. So yeah, we know that there are visitors here on the channel on the English feed who come from Germany as well, and they have it, or from Austria, where they can buy it as well. So there are some, yes.
Yeah. So what's your favorite one?
So I'm afraid 18 years old is the first one.
Yeah, for me same. So what's the second one?
Second one is the 12-year-old.
Yeah, same
so
for me.
I'm used to it. So, and third one is the 15-year-old.
Yep.
And
yep, I have the same sequence.
Yes.
Yeah, same sequence as last time.
Yeah,
Didn't change anything.
didn't change anything.
So what did you have? Let's have a look. How did you decide in the chat? Yeah. Where first one is the 18, then the 12, then the 15, and some people actually said Dragon Legend. Oh, one.
But the lead of the 18 years old with 50% is not that high as it was before in the German take. We had there
70.
more than a 70, yeah.
4231 was from Purple Elephant, and so that is 4 is 18. And then he actually went with the Dragon
I think
Legend.
he likes the intense one.
Spiciness,
Yeah.
And then he went with 3 with 15-year-old and the
12,
12. 12 last, really? For me, it was actually, I thought about it, and on a lighter day, I would actually prefer the 12 to the 18. But, yeah, depends. Yeah, let's have a little bit of our advertisement for next time. When will the next live tasting be? It will be.
And stay tuned. It's important. It changes. It changes today.
Yeah, it changed a little bit. So it's the 17th of February where we're gonna do a Glen Scotia live tasting. And it's actually not gonna be at 8 o'clock Central European Standard Time. It's gonna be 2 hours before, because I'm gonna have a guest here. I am gonna do the Glen Scotia live tasting with Ian McAllister, which is the distillery manager of Glen Scotia and also the brand ambassador. And for everybody who wants to see you, you can watch it afterwards on the German take. But he's gonna speak German. So
there's no place for 3 people here.
Yeah, so yeah, 3 people. We only had one 3 people tasting, and it was not that. It was just a bit too hectic. Yeah. So, yeah, if you want to watch the Glen Scotia tasting, tune in to Whisky.com/live. And if you are not quite sure when it will be in your time zone, just go to Whisky.com/live now, and you will find it on the video when it will actually air on your time zone. Or not now, because I think now this video is on that place. But yeah, just do it in a couple of days. So, do you have anything else to add? Anything? Just chat. So, yeah, thank you very much to the chat. It was lovely chatting with you, lovely trying this whiskey with you. And yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next time.